Good morning. Cornelia Kish from Culture Action Europe. We are European cultural organization, a network across 35 countries and with over 290 members. And we have formed the Culture and Health Platform in order to help people working in the field in the intersection of culture, health, and well-being. I'm here with my colleague, Mari Wittig. You can see her background is very similar to mine with the same um, Zoom background. And also, if you see other people as well, they are most probably our platform members as well, who might join this meeting as well. We would like to very quickly start with a small little question to everyone, where you are based from, and Mari will be launching this question. I also see that there is a very hot discussion in the chat already, but it would be also nice to see who is coming from where. Is it possible to launch the questions? Okay. So we see people from Germany, UK, Athens, France, Tübingen. It's a very nice place. Yes, I see there is this Mentimeter with the code. You can see it there, but we see also in the chat many people coming. Yeah, absolutely all over Europe. I see. We will know it from the chat. Okay, I think I don't know, Marie, if you see that we need to buy the Zoom top up at this point because we are already over 100 people. And then I will
I'm in
also
touch with Kian. Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So now I'm going to share my, okay, let's continue. People are still coming in and showing more people from Denmark, it seems, and Portugal. Wonderful. Good. I think in the background, we will be continuing to accept on the Mentimeter this, and I'm going to share my screen in order to tell you a little bit about the Culture and Health Platform, and also, of course, why you are here, of the new EU-wide call that we have already launched last Friday in the context of the Culture and Health Platform. What we will be covering today is, first of all, we will tell you a little bit about the Culture and Health Platform in case you don't know it yet. And then we will introduce the European call. After it, we will also say what would happen if after your application, what would be the next steps as well. And also we will give a very practical way of telling you how to apply. And also, of course, we will have a bit of time for question and answers. This session is being recorded, yeah, it is important for you to know that as well. We kindly ask you also to mute yourselves in case you have other things happening in the background. So what is the Culture and Health Platform? It is actually an EU-funded initiative based on the Creative Europe Platform's grants. And we basically found that it's very important to gather people working in the area of culture, health, and well-being because these people were not very visible, despite the fact that there is so much happening already in this field. In a previous project called Culture for Health, we have collected over 850 projects in this area. And it's a lot of, there are a lot of bottom-up projects as well. And Culture Action Europe, with its advocacy strengths on European level, we are really trying to help this field. And this is why this platform was formed. with the objective to support and promote emerging European artists working at the interprofessional space of culture, health, care, and social sectors. This platform aims to support a minimum of 200 artists, but actually many, many more also through our capacity building activities. And it's also very fortunate that this project will last 4 years. And we are actually just starting our second year within this project. Here you can see all the project partners that we have formed. And they are covering quite many countries. As you see, I think over 13 countries and over 15 organizations are part of this platform. So, the idea is also that in these countries, we have partner organizations which are there to support the artists working in these fields. And also, of course, many of them, or all of them, are actually very much providing capacity and training activities and mentoring for the artists that are working in their countries, and received a project grant as well. So here you can see all the actions that we have. Here you can see all the actions that the platform is doing during these 4 years. And one of the most important thing is to give financial support to specific projects working in this field, because in our previous project called Culture for Health, we have seen how much basically these projects fall in between the cracks. It's neither on the area, one cannot really apply for cultural grants, or they are actually falling in between the cracks of. And also, if one applies as a health to a health project, it also is not very eligible. So it's very much in between the two. And in this case, we thought it is very important to support specifically these projects. And here you also see that we have our platform members, where you saw all the organizations, have on the national level, have launched already calls in the first year. And this is now the first EU level call, where we will be supporting 8 artists per year and for 3 years. In this slide, you can actually see all the countries where we will have national calls also in the second year. So you have here listed all these countries which will launch their calls from the 15th of January, but many of them a little bit later. So this is absolutely available on our website, and please check the launch dates as well. Those codes are very similar to the EU call, but not exactly the same. So it's very important that if you are based on those countries, you refer yourself to these call explanations. EU level call that you have the information session. Those projects are not eligible for the EU, have a specific call for that country. And the EU level calls, of which this information session is about, are actually on the Creative Europe countries, which are not these countries that are shown. So it's actually I'm talking about the countries which are blue in the map. The yellow countries show that we have a platform member there, but they don't have a national call for various administrative reasons. Therefore, for example, although the France here colored, they actually don't have a national call, therefore they are eligible also for the EU level call. Oh, sorry. So just to tell you what else the platform is doing. So one of the things is a capacity building. We have a lot of online for free trainings that are available on our Culture and Health Platform website, and these you can find under events. And they are actually, most of them are delivered by our platform members, but also by outside experts. And some of them are longer term, for which you really have to apply and make sure that you are there. But most of them are actually in the area of 1.5 hours or so. And we also provide live trainings once a year on a European level and in the national so in the countries where we have national partners, it is defined by the national partner when it takes place, but they also provide a lot of live trainings as well. We also have artist shadowing or peer learning program where one artist can travel to another country and a little bit learn from another artist of how he does his activities working in this area of culture, health, and well-being. We also support the artist mobility. For the artists that receive a platform grant, we also offer mentoring in the countries where you have national calls. And in the case of this EU level call, you would be receiving mentoring from Culture Action Europe. We very much look at how to raise the demand side as well, because we know that often, let's say, the health and the care side may not be that interested. And this is why we really put an effort also through advocacy tools to raise awareness about culture's contribution to mental health. And also, we organize webinars, for example, for the health sector and the care sector. And artists are also very much, if you're selected, you're very much part of a networking possibility. And also, actually, we also have open peer support sessions, which we call artist roundtables, which are in year 2, where you can actually come and learn from maybe more experienced artists, but also very much in an open way in in breakout rooms. It's also possibility to exchange with each other. So we really want to enable this peer-to-peer exchange because there is so much knowledge out there already. And once a year, we have a huge conference, and there we try to increase the visibility and also showcase the work of the artists working in this field. And it will take place in Vienna in 2026 September. You can see this information also on our website. Just to go back, and I already mentioned to you the Culture for Health report and the Culture for Health project, which basically triggered us to form the Culture and Health Platform. I really encourage you to look at the Culture for Health report, and we will, of course, put it in the chat how you can reach it. But you will see that there are a set of policy recommendations that we made during that project, and they are very much looking in the area of how to strengthen working together, networking, learning from each other, and how to make sure that we don't, each of us, reinvent the wheel as an artist, but rather learn from the other and start from a higher level. And this is why also in the Culture for Health website, you'll find a project database which we continuously are filling. And I really, really encourage you to put projects that you worked on in this area into that database, because we will continuously fill it for the next 4 years. And it's very much used by, for example, World Health Organization, by researchers, but also by other artists in other countries, where, for example, If you search on I work in this art form for this target group, you actually get the projects that work in this field, and it's also nice to check out what the others have been doing. So it's also a tool to learn from each other. And in this case, actually, it is could be a useful tool to see what others have already done and how maybe you can search or how you can design your project as well. We also had developed a guide for practitioners, which might be helpful as well. So now comes the introduction for the European projects in the area of culture, health, and well-being. To give you an overview, basically, this call is for artists and artist collectives, and not really for larger cultural organizations. Specifically this call, oh, interesting, someone starts drawing in the how can that happen? Okay, so this call is for artists and artist collectives, specifically working in this interprofessional field of culture, health, and well-being. And we proactively ask you to work with the non-cultural organization. This could be a care home, a hospital, a social NGO, mental health services, but not a cultural institution. So it's very important that it's the artist that is applying, but already should have some kind of connection to a non-cultural organization. And the objective of your project should be to enhance the health and well-being of individuals and communities. We very consciously have learned through the national calls that it's better for the artist to have a two-step application process. So this call is, and this call has two steps. First would be an expression of interest. Are we being hacked? Do you see also my screen as black?
It's really, I never had this before. Yeah, it's back now.
Maybe we are hacked.
But very strange, but the lines are still there. I have no idea where they come from.
Yeah. So it's two-stage application process. It's also to save you work, not to really develop very, very detailed work and then maybe not to be selected. So we kind of designed a very easy first application process, kind of describing your project. And then once it is pre-selected, then a full application would need to be submitted from a short list of around 20 projects from the shortlisted proposals. So the deadline of the stage one would be February the 2nd. So we definitely gave a lot of time for development and thinking about the project. And only if you are given the feedback that we would need a full application, that's when the second deadline would be the 30th of March. We will be selecting 8 projects that would get a grant of 8,000 euros each. We do understand it is not a lot of money, but that's how much we could make available from, of course, and we are very grateful for the European Union's platforms funding to provide this possibility. It's also important to know that this will not be the only call. We will have next year at least 2 calls during the 3 years that are still upcoming. It's also very important that the project needs to be implemented between May 2022 and April 2027, and only those projects are eligible. Now let's go to the countries. We look at where the project will be implemented. So the projects that are implemented in this list of countries, which you see here, those are eligible for this EU country. As I already mentioned, we will have national calls I think 11 countries additional to these. And if you are based in that country or you would like to make your project in those countries, make sure that you apply to that. Our application form is actually very, very clear on which countries are eligible. So you can only select these countries as a place of implementation. You can apply for the grant as individual artist or as a collective group, or of course, if you are have a registered NGO or a company, that's absolutely okay also for contracting purposes, but we do not aim to support larger cultural organizations or institutions. For that, the Creative Europe Cooperation Grant is there, and that also has, for example, a mental health element that is possible to apply to. So this call, again, from the original funder's point of view, is for artists or artist collectives. And one important thing that if an artist has already been supported financially by the culture and health platforms through national calls or the shadowing hosting programs, or participated in the artistic exploration, like these artists are not eligible because we need to make sure that we support 200 artists during the 4 years, and they have to be 200 different artists. Again, as mentioned before, we have the national calls that open as of 15th of January, but also in some countries like Sweden, the call will open a little bit later. And please look at the terms of reference of those calls for your projects. Going back to the EU call, here you have a nice schematic drawing of how the artists would work together with the care home, with the hospital, with the mental health service, an NGO working with a specific target group. And in this case, in the first step of the application, so until February the 2nd, we need to have a proof of contact from this partner organization. And we also need to see in there, of course, that that partner organization is interested in working with you. Why it is needed is because we also want to make sure that it's not only, let's say, a desire, but also an open cooperation from the partner institution side to work with the artist. And this actually means that in the second step, there would be just a letter of intent that the non-cultural organization would need to sign, which also is not a binding letter, but we definitely need to have a original signature from that partner organization. Regarding the prerequisites of the artist, we are at this point of the Culture and Health platform. We first want to support and strengthen artists who already work in this field because it's also still a very fragile field, and it's also very important, of course, to have the experience of working with vulnerable populations as well. So therefore, we have put the following prerequisites for this call. Applicants must be able to demonstrate at least 3 years of experience as a practicing artist, and either having a higher arts education qualification or equivalent, or an equivalent professional experience. So you don't need to have a higher arts education. It is possible to have it is possible to apply only if you have professional experience, but it's very important that that is a solid experience in that case. It is very important that the artist would have experience in working with groups, leading workshops, or engage with people through participatory arts, and be fluent in the language of the community where they are working with. It is very in order to have better connections, of course. Additionally, we would like to have an adequate knowledge of English to a level that enables the artist to present the project, participate in English language trainings, or engage with fellow artists from other parts of Europe. This is strengthening our networking possibilities across the countries. In case of an artist collective, it is absolutely sufficient if one of the artists have this English knowledge skill, but we definitely need a way to communicate and across borders as well. It's also important that, of course, the artist is interested in continuing to the work in a longer term in these countries and work long term in the interprofessional field of culture, health, and well-being. So it's not a one-off, it's a possibility, but rather a true interest of the artist. And of course, it would be desirable to have previous experience or training working at the intersection of culture, health, and care sectors. It's an asset, but it's not a requirement. So what kind of projects qualify? The project very much needs to be embedded in local communities, create longer-term connections, should foster meaningful connections between arts and culture and health, care, social, and in the case of youth, educational sectors, including institutional and non-institutional settings. So let's say museum is a secondary educational so for example, informal museums are places of informal education, so it's also possible to work in that way. But again, it's not the museum that would need to apply, but definitely the artists themselves. And projects should aim to enhance people's well-being by ensuring access to artistic and cultural practices as opportunities for expression, participation, and empowerment, or in accordance with the cultural rights. The proposed actions should contribute to quality of life, support the care pathways, and promote both prevention and also improve health outcomes. So it is not mandatory to choose a target population that has some kind of a health condition. We are very much also looking at healthy individuals, but at risk of developing some kind of a health condition, maybe a mental health condition or depression and so on, due to their situation, such as people with loneliness, for example. And also it's we already mentioned before that the project needs to be implemented between May 2026 and April 2027. Here you can see the selection criteria based on which our selection board, that is composed of at least, I think, 9 people as a minimum, will be selecting which projects qualify. So one quite important element here is that the project idea is effective and relevant for the health and well-being of the target group. Often, for example, cultural projects are more looking for creative ideas, and of course, creativity needs to be there, but the most important thing is that it's effective and relevant for the health and well-being of the target group. We will look at the previous experience of the artist through the CV and the artist portfolio that is submitted. We will look at how realistic and feasible the planning of activities is. We will look at how the engagement with the communities and audiences and participants happen. We will look at the trustworthy and solid trust partnership with the non-cultural organization that the artist needs to cooperate with. And we will also look at the project's possibility to create a longer-term connection across sectors. Just to say that the selection criteria is a little bit more explained in the terms of reference that you can find on the website. Here I'm just only mentioning, let's say, the the top part. So please look at that as well. We will show where you can find it. So additional to this, to give you a bigger picture, we will definitely look at how often, in case of a participatory project, priority will be given to those that include more than 6 sessions with the same or nearly the same group of participants, and ideally even 8, because research actually shows how much basically how habits can be turned, let's say, with a minimum of 6 to 8 sessions rather than one-off sessions. The selection committee in the end will a little bit try to strive for a geographical balance so that not all projects that are selected are coming from the same country. And also we will try to look at the balance between art forms. So it's not only just one type of art form that we favor. And we will also strive to include in the project portfolio both projects from the prevention side and also from the management and treatment of illnesses side, if you look at the World Health Organization's 2019 report. Here you can see projects that, for example, could qualify. We are thinking about participatory art programs for people experience physical and/or mental illnesses, people with loneliness or social isolation, or participatory art programs that focus on prevention of mental ill health and management of illnesses in different settings. Participatory art programs in formal and informal education, social care settings to enhance youth mental health, and art in health in social care settings, including projects that enhance health and social care environments and support the staff of patients' well-being. Productions in healthcare settings can also be eligible, or artist residencies in healthcare or social care or educational settings. Socially engaged arts is also eligible, so community arts to enhance well-being of certain target group and population and communities is also very much welcome. And we are also open for other projects. Maybe we haven't been able to list all types of projects that might be interesting, so please also don't hesitate to surprise us. I see, Marie, you have your hand up. Tell me.
Perfect timing. Thank you so much for bringing me in. I just wanted to refer to the chat because so many people asked about this almost last part, artist residencies in the healthcare, social care, and educational settings. So apparently people keep asking what that could be. Maybe you could just give a brief explanation to everyone.
For example, in a social, if you find a care home, for example, for elderly people, you could consider, of course, either living there or consider, living somewhere else, but also always going into the care home every day and work with people living in the care home. That would be, for example, a good example. But also, for example, in the case of educational setting, let's say maybe in a specific school, for example. These would be the artist residency as well. Now, what is important to also understand is that we really try to strive to give an additional strategic push for the longer term cooperation between the non-cultural organization and the artist. So the best is if you already had some kind of contact, they already had experience of how beneficial it is. But if in case not, and if let's say the local context is not that advanced, that's also absolutely understandable. So I think now I will give over to my dear colleague, Mari Wittig, who will tell you what will happen after the selection and also how to apply. I'm stop sharing and I give over to you, Mari. Thank you for your time. Meanwhile, I will look at the questions in the chat.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And there are really super many questions. I am afraid I'm just going through them slowly. Again, like I do, even that like some of you joined a little later, I do recommend maybe watching the recording, which will be made available very soon. So you can also catch up with what has been said at the beginning. Yes, so let's go on with the next steps and how to actually apply. And I'm glad we're going through this because there have also been questions in the chat regarding this. So what's coming up next? Let's have a look at the timeline. So for all of you, we are here in the application process stage 1. So right now we are here and you have time until the 2nd of February to apply. So we thought we'd give you some time during the end of the year season, but then we have time in January. We will notify 20 shortlisted applicants on the 24th of February, and only those 20 shortlisted applicants, we invite to apply again for the 2nd stage of the call. Of course, we will then provide you with more details and we will already give you an overview now, but we will give you more details and ask for more details. We again will host another information webinar. We provide you with some help on how to apply. And then we will finally notify the 8 selected applicants on the 20th April. And then we will go through the process at the end. And then important is that the project needs to be implemented between May 26 and April 2027. What will you be offered? And this might be very interesting in particular. So of course, you will have the opportunity to work in the culture of health and well-being area with a strategic vision and or a possibility to just test new ideas. We will provide you with financial support for the project, and that is with 8,000 euros per project. You will have increased visibility by being a part of this platform, of this project. And we will move to the website in a moment, but you will also be featured on this website, both as an artist, but also with the project. We provide peer support and networking opportunities with other artists working in the field of culture, health, and well-being. That is both by matchmaking, but also, like Cornelia already referred to, our artist roundtables that we organize every 2nd month. We organize trainings and capacity buildings. Of course, we will mentor you during your project. And then each year we have a big showcasing event that also Cornelia referred to already. And the next one will take in Vienna in the 1st week of September. I already referred to the 2nd application process, and just to give you a quick overview of what we will be asking. Many of you already asked that about the letter of intent of the institution that you will cooperate with. So now during the 1st application process, we just need you to reach out to the organization and they need to agree to work with you, but we are not asking for the copy of the letter of intent right now. This is what we ask for in the 2nd round of applications. Important is that you really do have this agreement already, because from experience we can tell that it takes really long to finally get the signature on this letter. So please make sure that you really do have the relationship organized. Then we ask you to hand in a 2-minute recorded video pitch in English. Here you should cover what is your project about and what makes it stand out. We ask you for a more detailed project design and description, and we ask you for a detailed budgeting of the project. So that's as an overview. Sorry, and now the big question is to how to actually apply, and to answer that question, I will lead you to the website. So when you arrive on the website, you might have a link actually, but if you just get on the website and please feel free to have a look around. Also check out our artists or our events. But here we want you to go on calls. When you go on calls, also please notice that here all the national calls are listed. So for example, now we had some questions from someone from Italy or Romania. So please find those national calls here. They will start mid-January. So you go now on the European call, of course. It says learn more, and then here you find an overview of the call. People asked already if you get the slides or the video. The slides that we are using now are all that information is in the PDF that you find when you scroll down. So please scroll down to the bottom of the page. And here you find the PDF. It's a 14 pages with very detailed information. Of course, you can go through the PDF here on the website, but also please note that below there is a download option. So you can download and print and do whatever you want and need. So please take the time to go through all these explanations. And yeah, I think like everything that we say here is all listed in this document. So please really make sure that before you apply, you and even like if you participated in this info session, please make sure anyhow that you do go through the PDF in detail. Cornelia already referred to the selection criteria earlier. Again, here it is listed in much more detail. So please do go through this. Once you did go through the full description of the call, the question is how to actually apply. And then please find here above, there is this heading, how to apply. And as it says, the application must be submitted via the application form, and this is a link. So you just click on the link, and that brings you to this form. And here we ask you to fill in all the details. Most of it is just filling in or making your cross somewhere. At the bottom, we ask you twice here to upload a file. So we ask you to upload your CV, and we ask you to upload a portfolio. Please note, it is also written here, but please note that when you upload your file, of course, other applicants do not see what you have submitted. This is a folder where you can only submit, you cannot see what has been uploaded already. And then here, you can also make this cross that you already have a partner organization. Okay, and that's that from my side. Cornelia, if you want to come back maybe.
Yes, thank you so much. So I see a lot of questions of what kind of proof is necessary for stage 1 application from the side of the non-cultural organization. At the stage 1, just a proof of email, maybe make it as a PDF, kind of saying, yes, I'm interested to receive you if you receive the grant. That is absolutely sufficient. Please make sure, of course, it can be in local language, but please make sure you have a DeepHelp translation afterwards. So we see the original email and also, of course, the DeepHelp translation. This is, of course, needed, that it's not just a dream, but it's actually, there is some kind of basis for the people to work together. Then there was this question whether the artist collective needs to be based in one of the countries, or is it enough if it's just the institution? it is not a requirement that the artist collective is based in the same country, but we are very much looking at the quality of the partnership and its potential for long-term working together. So let's say if the artist collective is very far from the organization and just basically flies in to do an intervention, then we don't see it as we might not see it as a longer term connection with potential to continue. So we really support the ones that are close by. But for example, in case of in Europe, you have often these borders, and it might be that the artist collective is just, for example, in living in Holland and wants to do an intervention in Belgium, for example, and it's close by, then it's absolutely a valid partnership. And also, of course, it's again very important that that they speak the language, so that their language of the country of intervention, or at least the community of the target, at least the language of the target group, so that again longer term connections can be made. Yes, I think there is also a question around UK artists and so on. So there has been, for example, projects where, for example, there were some local artists in eligible countries working with an institution in that country, and then, for example, as an advisor or a help or maybe just a cooperation, UK artists were part of it. That is absolutely okay. But of course, we definitely need to have artists that are based in the countries that we have the call for and the institution is. Let me see. So there is no specific form in stage 1 for the proof of contact. That is, we will provide a letter of intent, a template letter in stage 2. So at the point, it's really correspondence, written correspondence is enough. If you make a PDF of it, and please also translate it to English so that our selection community can also read it. Be fluent in the language of the community. So if the workshops are in English in a country which has a different official language, does this work? I mean, again, we are striving for longer term cooperation, and often there can be, for example, like a teaching workshop from the UK side, but then thereafter, working with the community, it would be, for example, continued in the language of the community. So I think it's important that we are talking about the benefits of the target group as well. So often that's the case. Does the health institute have to be in one of these countries or only the artist? So again, we are looking at the place of implementation. The artist does not necessarily have to be in the country, but again, we find that the partnership might be stronger if the artist is in the country, or at least, if there are close by to the border, it's very important that, of course, that's absolutely eligible. So it's not the country that is important in that case.
I selected a few questions and sent it to you via WhatsApp. Questions who reoccurred, maybe you could have a look.
Okay. So the proof of interest letters does not need to be in English. It can be on your local language, but please drop it into Google Translate or DeepL, and then like the second page could be the translation of the letter. So if an artist has a registered NGO in the domain of culture and health, they can apply as an individual or through an NGO. Apply as the artist, but and the time of contracting, we will see. Most probably, we will of course contract the NGO itself. But why we didn't but it's again, it's about the artist. So let's say if it's a larger NGO of 100 people, that would not apply in that sense. I'm an independent curator, but I'm based part-time in a scientific institution, which would be a great partner. Would it be a problem if I already based there? I think not. Further, I have 2 project ideas. Could I apply twice? Huh. I guess yes. This we haven't thought about. Um, can an individual artist apply via their company or only as a private individual? So again, we might contract you as the through your company, but uh, let's say in the end, we will have to submit the names of the artists that have benefited from this grant. So we definitely need, of course, the artist, and they are in the forefront. Are there minimum, maximum project duration requirements? No, we don't have, but as we have said, in case of a participatory project, we are very happy if at least there are 6 encounters with the target group. Again, the longer term you engage with the community, the more likely it is that it will be beneficial. Does receiving a Culture Moves Europe Mobility Grant affect eligibility for this call? No, it doesn't. Can Ukraine take part? Yes. We are a breast cancer NGO in Kosovo. Could we apply with artists for community? Yes. If Kosovo is eligible, I don't know, Marie, you can please check. Could the municipal council be a host institution for an activity? Yes, as long as there is like a health element in it or a care element. Absolutely, that could actually also be a very nice long-term partner, and we are striving to help those projects. Are youth organizations comprised of art students eligible to?
Miłego dnia.
We need to see if you have an artist that actually within that organization that actually comply with the requirements. That's very important. And we also want to make sure that there is some kind of maturity of the artist work in order to work in this area. So yes, but I would say you definitely need a lead artist that actually supports that criteria. So make sure that that artist applies. If you are a cultural organizer, if you are a culture association, is possibly to apply or just being an NGO. So cultural associations can apply, but again, their size matters. So first and foremost, this call is about helping artists, helping their long-term long-term employability as well. So a music project of 6 elements can apply. Sounds okay, yes. Will there be a chance to receive the recording? Yes, this webinar will be is recorded, and we will put it on the website together with the slides that we have just presented. Who is the applicant, the NGO or the artist? The artist in the step 1, definitely. Artist includes musicians. Yes, absolutely. Very much so. I'm a performer writing and performing interactive shows focused on health. Absolutely, these are the types of projects we are also looking at. For how long does the project needs to be working? We only have the criteria that it should be maximum 1 year. So again, the more encounters with the target group, the better. But it's not what we kind of say that more than 6 encounters we favor. Let's say it's a not a must, but it's a additional add-on. I already work part-time at a social association. Can the project be implemented there as well? I think it can, but I think what would be important to show as well of how this grant could help you maybe have a full-time or a longer term bettering of the situation, let's say. But yes, I think it's definitely eligible. I think we kind of answered all the questions. Here we have. Do the national open call follow the same application process and eligibility criteria as the European call? No, they are very similar, but some national calls are just one stage, for example, and they have a different eligibility criteria. You can take a look at the old national calls, which most probably will have a hint of having similar ones coming out, but you will see it specifically in after January the 15th or when the call is out. Just to say that also in the case of the national calls, in the first year we launched them much later. So let's say the time frame will definitely be changing this year. So most of our national calls will be launched in the beginning of the year, unlike last time. So not everything will be the same, let's say. Okay. Is a German ergotherapist professional enough with artist experience? Well, this is I'm not exactly sure actually what an ergotherapist is, so maybe you can enlighten in the chat. I think we will look at the artist experience, artist portfolio, definitely. So we will also have to see, let's say, the strengths of the artist portfolio in this case. Can a project in collaboration with a municipal library be approved? I think in case of a municipal library, it would be very nice if you would also have some kind of a letter from the health side of the municipality that they are interested in it. Because on the very long term, we also strive to make sure that projects are not only financed from the cultural side. So I'm not talking about this case, is that this project is absolutely financed by Creative Europe program, which is the cultural program of the EU. But with our funding, we strive to see of how other funding could come in, for example, from the health side, from the social side, or maybe from the municipal side as well, ideally from the social side, social budgets as well. So that is important to note because a library is still a cultural organization. For how long does the project needs to be working? This I think I've covered before. Yeah, I think. Is there a recommended scheme for distributing money between artists and collaborating organization? No. Just please make sure that in stage one, we ask very little about the budget, but when you describe of how you plan to work with the organization and you cover this part as well, we will try to see if it's feasible and relevant. But we really stress that, of course, the artist is fairly paid, and the collaborating organization does not necessarily have to be, because they are receiving, let's say, the benefit in a sense. but definitely we recommend to make sure that that we can see that the artist is fairly paid. Could there be a book about people with chronic illnesses? No, I think this is not eligible, writing a book about that. What do you advise to put in the portfolio? Well, definitely, I advise for finding a long-term possibility to work with the non-cultural institutions. So again, from the health or the social sector, or in the case of youth, with the educational sector. While we know that maybe there would not be a direct taking over the funding of these projects, but with the visibility of the EU funding, we have seen how artists actually might get additional jobs due to these funding processes. For the moment of contract. What are the eligible legal form of the applicants? It's at the time of application, we are looking at the individual artist. Art therapy, yes, absolutely, is an art therapy project with wounded defenders in Ukraine eligible for support. Yes. If the activities take a form of workshop, are there any criteria regarding how often the workshop should take place? No, we don't have the criteria. We just say there has to be 6 encounters, and research says that usually these are weekly. And of course, in case there is a holiday, you can absolutely skip that week. I'm an artist myself, running an art studio where I have done lots of workshops, classes, currently related to Alzheimer's. Do I need to be connected to? You don't need to be connected to an NGO to apply. As an artist, you can do that. But what we require, as said before, that maybe an Alzheimer, a social NGO working with people with Alzheimer's is part of your project application. So it's not just not the artist and the target group, but there is also a non-cultural organization involved in the call. To pay the artist, yes, we definitely require a fair payment of the artist.
And maybe regarding the payment, a question occurs, like how, like if there's a recommendation on how the 8,000 euros should be spent, like regarding the equipment or to pay the artist.
To be honest, it really depends on the project. So let's say if it's a visual art piece in a hospital, then of course it would be the artist fee and let's say also the paint and so on. So anything that requires the project to make happen. But in the case of a participatory arts project, probably it would be again the artist fee plus maybe some tools or whatever if you need. Also maybe if you collaborate with, there is no requirement per se how to spend the 8,000 euros, but of course definitely we need a fair payment for the amount of time invested for the artists. And it's not necessary from our point of view that also the hosting organization gets paid. Who the target audience is? Is it the artist or the people who depend on healthcare? We are supporting artists who work with vulnerable population. So when I say the target group, then I talk about, let's say, this vulnerable population. So let's say people with Alzheimer's, or maybe people who are at risk of loneliness or social isolation. Those I call the target group in this discussion. But the artist itself who receives the money, and therefore we are supporting the artist with the organization. Co-financing is allowed and encouraged. It also says in the call document. So please, really, as also Marie has pointed out, make sure that you read all the 13 pages and also look at the form. The form is very easy to answer in the first stage. And then we are, of course, happy to answer additional questions by email, but I'd like to ask you to really make sure that it's a general question, because don't ask us like, would this and this project be available or eligible? This is why the stage 1 happens. So we kind of tell you officially if that is eligible. We really think that it's that the terms of reference is quite clear, but in case there is some general questions that are unclear, we are happy to answer. Is cultural activation considered arts in health initiative? Yes, absolutely. Also for children with immigrant children, absolutely. This is falls a little bit in the kind of prevention side. So they are at risk of, for example, developing mental health issues or depression. Absolutely, that is an eligible work. Okay, I think we more or less answered everything with the 10 minutes extra. Greece is a country you can work with, yes. And it is possible to apply to Culture Moves Europe and also to this grant. That's not a problem. No, very important. If there are 2 artists per team, does the 8,000 euro for both? Yes, it is for both. So it is actually the whole project that gets 8,000 euros. Okay, I think we will close now. Yeah, please, we will, I think, update the email address where we will receive questions on the website just after this session, so you can write there. But given the Christmas period, emails will not be answered between, let's say, the 23rd of December until the 2nd of January, but thereafter you will get answers. Okay, thank you very much. And yeah, good luck. And I hope you find meaningful cooperations. Thank you very much for being there.